And now, coming at you from the 5-Star Physique Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee, this is The Drop Set with your host, Darren Starr.
All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome to The Drop Set. This is episode 184. We are not live. I mean, I'm live here with Stephanie Marie via, what is this, Zoom. Hi, Stephanie. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So there's a lot to talk about here, and it's all covering kind of the same topic. If you've been following the news, you're aware of recent deaths, plural, in the industry due to overuse and abuse of prescription diuretics at shows. So these are actually people who are dying on show day, which is a problem, or in better scenarios, being hospitalized if they're lucky.
Well, some aren't making it to the show, or they're dying after because they can't recover.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want to dig in on that. Now, Stephanie here, she's an IFBB Pro. You turned pro in physique, but now you're competing in bodybuilding. You like that transition so far?
Yeah. So I did I did 4 women's physique shows as a pro. And I was told this season in Omaha to switch, and I'm in love with it. I was so hesitant for so many reasons, mostly the gear, honestly. And I wanted to maintain my femininity, but I'm really excited because I'm hoping that I can bring like a new era and like a new kind of, I want to inspire girls to be okay to make that switch too and that jump too.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool because bodybuilding did disappear for a few years for women. Mm-hmm. So it's good to see it coming back, and it's good to see some women making the transition from physique. I mean, you've got the size to hang there. So,
hey, I've actually not been training for years to kind of not grow, to
like
stay
holding back.
So I'm excited to like get big.
Yeah. That's cool. So you turned pro in 2016 at the USA's, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then done a handful of shows in a pro, and I think kind of topped out at like, what was it here? Like, what was your best place in women's physique?
I'm 6th.
6th. Okay. And then you managed 3rd in Chicago in bodybuilding.
Yeah, 3rd and 5th this year in my female bodybuilding debut. Yep.
Okay, cool. So to all the listeners out there, basically the point here is she knows her shit. She knows what she's talking about. She's been through this and is coming at this with some experience. So, talk to me a little bit. So this whole thing started, I guess it was this last weekend. So really things have blown up just in the past like 6 days. Really, it's kind of crazy.
Friday? Yeah, 5 days really, because I learned of Elena's death on Sunday morning, and it was so surreal for me because it was almost exactly my story, except I survived. So,
what is your story? Tell us that.
Yeah, so I actually have an hour long of it. If you want to go watch it, I put it on my IGTV. But in a nutshell, my coach went MIA at 2 weeks out, and I reached out to Shelby Starnes and asked him to, bring me in for my show. He's like, I don't really like to do rush preps, but I'll help you out. I had hired him in the past and had a credit with him, so he's like, we'll just use that. He sent me my protocol, and I just followed it. I didn't ask questions. I'm not naive, but like I knew what some of it was, but I also obviously, like with social media, it's such a highlight reel. I saw his success, so I just trusted him. I'm like, well, if he thinks this is what's going to work, he's probably done this before, and that's why these girls are winning and looking so great. I'm just going to do it.
What was your reaction when you saw that protocol? I mean, you're 2 weeks out, where you're just kind of like, whatever. I'm 2 weeks out. I'll just do it all.
I didn't know what aldactone was at the time, and I didn't know what Bumex was. So I had to message my source that I get things from, and I asked for all of it. And he's like, why the do you need Bumex? And he's like, that's really strong. Just to warn you, like that's stronger than Lasix. And I'm like, I don't even know what. I knew what Lasix was, but I'd never taken it. And I'm like,
the bad indication when your source has your best interests more than your coach.
My source is actually one of my best friends, and his wife competes and is a pro. He's a pro and has used Shelby before too. So it's a really small community, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I got the protocol and I just started in on it right away. The aldactone started at 10 days out. I didn't really notice much happening with that. It was tapering up. So it started off at 25 milligrams a day, and then it would be like 25 twice a day. And it tapered up all the way until I was at like 50 twice a day, I think. Now Jody got a plan similar to mine, but hers was like 100 twice a day. So I don't want to get confused.
This is Jody Engel you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was taking aldactone for 10 days. And then Diazide started out like 3 or 4 days out, and it would be like a half a tab in the morning, half a tab at night. I ended up taking, I think it was like 4 tabs of that. And then the Bumex was 1 milligram tabs, and I split it in half, and it was like half the night before the show and then half the morning of the show.
That's a lot.
I ended up leaving for my show on like a Wednesday, and I was 163 pounds, and I woke up the morning of my show and I was 147. So that's 16 pounds in about like 48 hours.
Which is one of those things, like as a competitor, you're kind of conditioned to accept and be okay with the extreme. So you see that and you're like, all right, shit's working. This is great.
Well, I was honestly, completely honest. I was excited to try it because it was something I'd never done before. And it was Shelby Starnes, and he has all these Olympians. And
you're
like
thinking maybe this is the secret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, after I took the first initial half of Bumex, usually you have like a release of fluid. So I got my tan. I was getting my tan, and I bent over, and I couldn't stand up. Like, it wasn't cramping. It was just pure, like, utter exhaustion. And my boyfriend was putting my tan on. He was like, I've never seen someone look like this. He was like, you look like a skeleton. You look like death.
This is your body saying, like, fuck you, basically.
Dizzy, lightheaded. I was hunched over. He was putting the tan on me as I was bending over. And I was like, I can't stand up. I can't breathe. I was dizzy, lightheaded, weak, feeble. Like I said, but I just kept doing what I was supposed to do. And I was scared to fall asleep that night. Usually I have prep insomnia anyway, nerves, adrenaline, excitement, all that. I was honestly scared to fall asleep. I kept thinking, what if my heart cramps up and I die? So I didn't get any sleep the night before my show. So I just went ahead and got up and started getting ready. I do my own hair, makeup anyway. And then I sent him, the final check-ins. And at that point, he gave me a little bit of carbs.
Did you tell him how you were feeling there?
I don't remember, to be honest. I don't think I did.
It's kind of the competitor's mindset to just kind of, suffer in silence and like, whatever, I'm just going to suck it up.
If I'm going to be really honest, a good coach is going to ask you how you're feeling.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. They should, especially with a protocol like that. If I wrote up a protocol like that, I want to talk to you every hour and see how you're doing.
That's what I'm doing. I have 8 clients peaking right now, and every meal they're checking, and I'm asking, how do you feel? Are you any cramping, any headaches? You know what I mean? Like, I need feedback before I tell you what to do next.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was flat as shit before I even took the Bumex. I should have never even been told. So plans are tentative, right? They should be changing as you change. My tentative plan was what I actually executed.
Yeah.
Regardless of how I looked. So it was like, was he even looking at my check-ins?
Right. I mean, what I do with my clients on peak week is a week in advance, I give them a forecast. So I'm like, here's kind of what I expect. And it's like minimum, we're checking in every day after that, and then changing that forecast. Like, yeah, this water protocol, this isn't working. We need to bump that up a little bit higher or whatever. So
exactly.
I'm all about the forecast, but it's not set in stone. You got to be able to roll with that. So this show experience that you're talking about, you posted some photos on your story just a little while ago, kind of showing your shape and conditioning there. And I mean, you were just completely flat. Like there was no fullness at all or anything.
I haven't posted my stage pics, but I was flat as shit. And there was no carb up really. I got 100 grams of white rice with my first meal with a whole egg. And that was it. And I'm going to be honest.
That's like 20 grams of carbs. If you're weighing 150, 160 pounds, that's nothing.
Yeah. And that's all that I had. And again, there was, the fluid was removed. Like I wasn't allowed to have water after a certain time the day before the show. So there's no water, no sodium, no carbs, but 3 different types of diuretics, one of which is a loop diuretic. So I'm not really sure the mindset or the mentality or the theory and science behind this protocol.
There isn't any. I think it's because it's related to things that people did back in the 80s, and we're just continuing that tradition for some reason, because water is a diuretic. So cutting it out completely never really makes a whole lot of sense. And sodium helps with muscle contraction. So if you don't have sodium, if you don't have water, how are you supposed to get a pump backstage? And
well, here's the thing. So like, I have really round, full muscle bellies. I don't really ever go flat, ever in prep. You can deplete me as much as you want, and I'm still going to pop. My muscles are still going to pop. So for me to be flat, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I go to the show, get on stage for prejudging. I'm first call out. we do all the mandatories, do everything, but I'm not like top 4 or 5. They removed 4. So that means I'm actually second call out because everyone gets moved in, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm up there posing longer and more and harder and battling it out and getting moved around. What was 8 to 11 minutes seemed like hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sweating, obviously. You see some people up there, they get better as they're posing. They start sweating, which means they're holding water. No sweating. I wasn't lightheaded or dizzy. I wasn't shaky. It was almost like I wasn't there.
Well, that's adrenaline kicking in at that point, just being on stage.
Yeah, I couldn't feel my legs. It's like my boyfriend was screaming in the audience, legs. I'm like, I think I'm flexing them. I don't know.
Like, I don't know. I think they've been amputated. I have phantom leg syndrome.
Yes. Oh, no. So I walk off stage, and as soon as I get behind the curtain, I fell to the ground. Mm-hmm. And the ground was cold. It felt so good. But there were medics, and they saw that. So they came running over. They're putting ice packs on me.
At least there were medics there.
There were medics there. Unlike at Elena's show in Spain, there were no medics at her show.
And the ambulance took forever to get there, like 30 minutes. 45 minutes. Yeah.
So as soon as I was on the ground, my phone was nearby, and I told someone to go get it. They brought it to me. I text Shelby immediately, and I text my boyfriend in the audience immediately. He immediately rushed backstage, and I was like, I have a Gatorade in my bag. Go get it. And I text Shelby. I was like, I'm on the ground and with the medics. I'm going to drink some Gatorade. He's like, no fluids. Okay.
That is like king asshole moment right there. I mean, I'm not here to defame people or anything like that, but come on. I mean, at some point you got to give up the ghost on your stupid protocol.
Well, what's crazy is I drank half of it anyway. I knew better. And then I ate like a little bit of candy or something. And that got me through. I went back to I don't even remember, the rest of what happened. I mean, I survived.
Honestly, that half a bottle of Gatorade might have kept you out of the hospital.
What'd you say?
That half bottle of Gatorade might have kept you out of the hospital. I mean,
that's fair. And whatever I actually ended up eating or doing might have saved me too. Yeah. That's why this is coming to light now, because Elena had the same coach. She passed out backstage, and she ended up dying. And she's a bodybuilder, and she's a mom, and all of this, I'm hearing all this, and I'm like, fuck, that should have been me. And so I never really thought about it after that day, after that show. I never gave it any thought that I should have died or could have died until now. So, because people were like, why'd you rehire him last year? And I'm like, well, A, I survived. And B, I think we downplay things, to make them not as bad. And like, I survived. So like, it's no big deal.
Well, there's an inherent trust value that comes with working with a coach where they get this credibility.
And I didn't have any crazy story like Jody has. Like, I didn't get rhabdo or edema or kidney issues or heart issues or anything like that. So for me, it wasn't that bad.
Talk about the week after the show. Did you have any?
What'd you say?
The week after the show, did you have any like lasting effects, or come Sunday, Monday, where you kind of like back to yourself? Okay.
I mean, I bloated and blew up because I was like eating again, and I was on vacation. I always take a week off after a show. Every single show or season. Once I'm done, I take a week off. Smart. I let my body recover, my mind. I don't go to the gym unless I really want to. I don't do cardio. Like, I don't do anything except for eat and enjoy life, and hang out.
That's the way to do it.
I was in Florida, and I did work out a little bit, and usually I always try to push water to flush your system, and plus all the junk food and shit that you're eating. So that probably helped as well. But I'm going to be honest with you, like, I never used to even take like supplements. Like, I'm the person that I wouldn't even take my vitamins or anything. So I don't know how I survived.
I'm kind of terrible about that too. Like, I've got my little pill organizer that has like my vitamin C and D and stuff. I'm about 60 or 70% on that. I'm pretty inconsistent.
I'm the person that has everything in the cabinet, and I never take it. Now this season, I took it every single day, faithfully and religiously. Yeah, but that season, I didn't ever. Yeah. I never used to like swallowing pills, let alone 30 of them at once, twice a day.
Seriously, absolutely. So I guess, I mean, if you, and I would encourage everybody to go check you out on Instagram. It's at Fierce Fit Steph, correct?
Yes.
Steph with a PH. And your story is like super active, and you're saving a lot of these in a highlight as well. So story highlights, if you go to your profile, and you can check it out there.
Yeah. So since my original IGTV of my story, I've now interviewed a few other women and posted their lives. And then other people saw that. And now it's like my DMs are flooded to the point where I can't interview everyone. Okay. So what I'm doing is, well, it took me until yesterday to do it. But now when people message me, and I respond to everyone, I don't just ignore. Like, I want to talk to them. I want to hear their story. I want to engage with them. I want to empathize and see how they're doing mentally now and where they're at now. What are their stats now? How are they doing? You know?
Yeah.
So I've probably gotten 1,000 or more messages. And I'm starting to post these other people's stories and their protocols and what they're going through, what they've been through, where they're at now, currently, what they're facing now.
And I like that you're saving those as a highlight so it doesn't get lost in 24 hours.
Exactly.
So I would strongly encourage everybody to go to your profile, check out the highlight, and just click through some of these. And what you're going to notice is it's the same names that keep coming up, and the protocols all look very similar. And so there's a heavy focus on the diuretics, but also like some of the gear protocols are insane. And we're talking about for people that are like, you know, fairly new, not terribly conditioned. Like, I'm 30% body fat. Okay, great. Here's 4 anabolics growth. You're going to jump on Clen and T3 right now. It's like, whoa, slow the fuck down, Turbo. What's going on here?
Doing 4 hours of cardio. Some people are doing no carbs. I saw Jamie Pinder's live. You need to check that out. She did no carbs for 26 weeks.
You know what I call that? I call that I'm just going to kill myself instead. Forget it. Like, no thanks.
No, I mean, she had gallbladder issues, and fortunately, Matt Jansen was able to save that and fix what Shelby did to her. So you guys really need to go check out that live. That live of Jamie tells a lot, because there's an evolution to this, you know. The reason that like Shelby kind of got like famous and blew up was in like 2013 to 16. He had so much success with women's physique girls. But I'm talking to these girls. These are girls I adored and I followed and I fell in love with and became obsessed with their journeys. And they're coming to me now and they're like, it wasn't like that back then. And then they're showing me and I'm like, okay, it was a little extreme, but there's a progression that's happening. Just like there's evolution with everything. Okay. But at what point is enough enough? And you're writing this plan and you're like, you know, that's probably going to send that person over the edge. Like, do we have any sort of morals, ethics, values, empathy? Where is all of that?
Like, certainly if you're competing at a very high level and you've been doing this for a while and you've progressed, you've gone from not competing at all. You've done a couple of local NPC shows. You've done a national show a couple times. You've turned pro. You've done some pro shows. Okay, great. Now you're looking to get Olympia qualified. You know, you're kind of up there in the conversation. So at that point, at that level, like, your protocol is going to look a little bit more advanced. It's not going to be like nothing.
Freaks like literally Juliana Malacarne, DLB, and Shanique. Those are the only people I know that have hardly taken anything or done anything. And that's only if they're being honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people are just genetic freaks and they can build muscle easily and they can get lean without taking hardly anything.
And those are far and few in between. And those are people that are at the top for a very long time.
Yeah. Because
there's probably, let's say there's 30,000 competitors in the world, right, that do what we do. There's a handful that are genetic freaks like that.
Like 100.
If that.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, freak, and I still have to take all this shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it, but I mean, sometimes those more advanced protocols, it's like, okay, that can be justified under this circumstance, but then you've got to balance that out by, okay, I'm not going to run Clen for 30 weeks. You know, I mean, I'm going to come off this stuff.
I just tested a protocol that Shane gave a client. I think it was a first show or an off season test sip, Clen and 8X, to name a few. Yeah. Why are we taking 8X and Clen in the off season? And why is a female taking test sip?
Yeah,
I want to know the answers as to why. I want to know the reasoning behind the protocols from these coaches. And here's my thing: you don't hear anything from these coaches. You know, they're fully aware of what's going on social media right now.
Absolutely. And the other thing is they know what they're doing. I mean, they're not stupid. But I don't know. They're not dumb individuals. I think they're doing stupid stuff, but at the same time, they know what they're doing. They're aware of what they're doing, and they've got to be aware that this is not a good idea.
Responsibility, like, ultimately it comes down to the athlete, and that is a very true statement. However, I will say this: you don't know what you don't know, and we as clients, we want to be coachable. Okay, I'm not going to ask my coach 1,000 questions a day. I'm just going to trust that he knows what he's doing because he's successful at it, right? Otherwise, I probably would not have heard of him and want to work with him. And B, like, I don't want to sit and have to do all this research. That's why I hired someone to tell me what to do. I I don't want to think, I just want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. And, you know, the way that I approach gear with clients is, you know, I never bring it up. I wait for them to bring it up. Like if you're interested in that,
oh my God,
you tell me. Or if somebody says like, wow, I'm really dialed in here, you know, is there anything else that I can do to make my progress faster? I'm like, well, you could jump on anabolics and we can have that conversation if you want to. And I tell people, I'm like, I'll make recommendations for you, but my recommendations are going to start with some websites to go to read some stuff.
I always say that here's what I recommend. And now I want you to take it upon yourself to do your due diligence as a person and go read up on this and then decide if, you know, you want to do it or not. And then also on top of that, like there are things that I am never going to let an NPC competitor or first time competitor put in their body.
So on that note, what? Because I think that's good for some people out there that might be considering this.
I'm not going to let a bikini client take Winstrol. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to let a bikini client ever take injectables or like Adex or anything like that. It's just not necessary. Talking about an NPC show.
Yeah. Yeah. It shouldn't be necessary.
No.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'm never ever going to ever put a woman on Test or Tren or Halo.
Yeah.
Or Androl or D-ball ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Do you if you have clients who get products from a source that you don't know personally or you can't vouch for, do you encourage them to get it tested?
I do. Okay. I've had a couple clients have issues with things. And so I've told them, you know, you can get it tested. However, I don't like to be the middleman in any of that. Okay. I'm already extending myself enough. I'm not going to give you my source's information. I'm not going to be the middleman and order it for you through my source. If you want to do this stuff, you got to find it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a smart move.
If you're going out and finding it, then you got to know the source and be able to trust that it's good and talk to their other people that are buying it and make sure, you know what I mean? Like I can't do everything for you. Do you want me to put the pill in your mouth and, you know, give you some water and close your mouth for you too?
Yeah.
Like I can't do everything for you.
That's a good point. I like that. So let's go. I got some questions here. So let's cover this. The question, I was just kind of typing out some notes for myself here. And one of the first questions that I wrote for myself is, who the fuck thinks this is necessary? When someone is shredded and really dry a month out, like, you know, why do they need anything the last week? Why can't you just like, you know, you're a week out. Hey, you know what? You're already peaked. We're just going to ride this all the way into show day. It's not common for that to be the case, but I've seen it happen before. And I've had it with clients where it's like, your peak week, we aren't changing anything. We're going to taper down your cardio to get your legs sharper, but that's about it.
Yeah, what happens is people think that peak week is supposed to be this like drastic, magical time and everything changes and we're manipulating all these things. That's probably going to make you look worse.
It's a mythical creature, peak weekend.
Why would you fix what's not broken?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And there's no magic pill in the world. And at the same time, like, I just don't understand, like, where did peak week come from?
Yeah,
like,
that's a great question.
You know what I mean? If you look great 2 weeks out, why wouldn't you just still continue on that up until show day?
Yeah, I think the thought is like, well, you know, I think it's got a bad name, peak week. It implies that wherever you are, you can do something extra to get somewhere better. And that's not always the case. Or if it is, sometimes it's
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why did it get named peak week? I know that we're aiming to, you know, peak or get on stage for a show, but like at the same time, if you're not ready 2 weeks out, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to burn any more fat the last week. All the work is done.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no magical recipe, you know. I always say,
you know, you can drop like 5 pounds of water weight just by sitting in the sauna. Yeah. Like just do that then and dry out a little bit.
Or by just manipulating your water intake a little bit.
That creates stress on your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, so your experience at that show that you were talking about was case in point why more isn't better, because you lost so much water weight and, you know, looked flat as hell.
What's crazy about that though is that's the best placing that I've had as a pro women's physique competitor.
Which then makes you think, of course, well, I need to do that again.
The lineup, it's the lineup.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Another question I had, and this is just a thought whenever I see something pop up in your story, and I know the answer to this already. Do you think that speaking out like this runs the risk of pissing off the powers that be?
Listen, no matter what happens, you're always going to have an opposing side, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be, I don't even like to say two sides to every story. I think there's three. I think there's yours, mine, and the truth.
Yeah.
And it's not even about picking sides. It's not about creating a division in our community that we love. It's about solidarity right now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And finding a solution to the problem. The problem is people are dying. The head count, the body count is going up. So we need to figure out why, which we have.
Mm-hmm.
And now we need to make it stop. Okay. Yeah. And listen, yes, it is the athlete's body and they decide what they put into their body. But had a coach not written it out, the athlete would never even be putting it in their body.
They wouldn't have thought of it on their own.
For me, it starts with the coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
And then it's the client's obviously responsibility to either ask questions or just go along with it. Or, I think too, a lot of times people are scared. They want to make their coach proud. They don't want to question them. They're too scared to have those hard conversations. So they don't.
They don't want to appear weak also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. There's certainly some shared responsibility, but I think it's probably like 70-30 on the coach because they're the ones that are putting that plan out there.
Like point blame or anything like that. I just think that at a certain point in time, when you have as many stories as I've posted, you have to take ownership and accountability for your actions. We're all adults. We all know right from wrong, period.
And I think that statement applies to individual coaches, but even more so to the industry as a whole. The industry needs to take ownership of this and recognize that it's a problem and figure out what they're going to do about it.
Finally are, and it's unfortunate that it's taken so many deaths for this to come to light, and I don't really know why me speaking out has created all of this to happen. I never expected that to go viral or anything like that. I was just telling my story based on a person's death.
Well, I think the thing is you told it passionately. Yeah, I mean, you told it very passionately, and you told it well, and you told it in great detail. And the other thing is, so much of this stuff is clandestine and kind of happens behind a curtain, and it's not talked about.
It's very taboo. But at the end of the day, we all know what's going on. So if we all know what's going on, why are we tiptoeing around the subject when we could be spreading more awareness, more knowledge, more education, and we could be saving lives? We could be saving Jody from fighting for her life in the hospital 10 months after her show.
Yeah, exactly. So,
we could be saving this 21-year-old girl that has tremors right now and just switch coaches because she saw all of this. And she's smart enough to know, okay, if my coach has all these deaths hanging over his head, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I say as a coach, and I think you could probably agree with this, one of the easiest things to do as a coach is not kill a client. Like, it is so easy to not kill a client.
I almost feel like, there's like a little bit of like sociopath tendencies, because sociopaths and narcissists, they lack empathy and they lack social skills in the sense that they just do whatever without any regard to other people's feelings or well-being or what's going to happen to them afterwards. So it's almost like, is this just like a science experiment for some of these coaches? Is this just like let's push the envelope until we push it too far, but oopsie, we'll cover it up and not talk about it? Because, nobody talked about when Mariola died in 2019 after Tampa. No, there was one post made, which
is sad.
It's very sad.
I'm thinking, as a coach, if I wrote up a protocol for somebody, and I mentioned this in my quick Instagram live or IGTV thing that I did yesterday, I've actually never advised a client to use a prescription diuretic, never once. So I don't find them really necessary. I'm not 100% opposed to their use. I just don't ever really find them necessary. I think we can do a good enough job
I do
without them.
The most minimal possible. And again, like, I have 8 clients in the show tomorrow. 3 of them are going to take probably half a diazide.
What show is it, by the way?
It's the Indiana State Championships.
All right. Shout out Indiana.
A couple of them are just doing it to get qualified for North Americans. And a couple of them have a really good potential of turning pro, and it's their first season. And it's unreal. What I'm finding that's actually happening here, excuse me, we're putting so much emphasis on drugs and diuretics and none on training. I have not, I was with Shane Hughley, never got a workout program, never. Asked for leg days multiple times, never got one. I was with Shelby Starnes, never got a training protocol, ever. Nobody is talking about, if you train hard and you build up that muscle density and you build your physique from the ground up and you have that solid foundation. When you go to prep, and if you did your off season right and you built up your metabolism, you've got a lot of food to manipulate, you will get peeled and you will have an easy prep.
Yeah.
That's why
absolutely.
I don't take prep clients. You can't just come to me and say, I want to do a show. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Not doing it.
That's smart. It's like, look at, I mean, unless they come at you and you're looking at them like, man, you've got a really solid base. Okay. But that is so uncommon.
Not novice, and it's someone that has experience and they've done shows and and you can show me what you've been doing the last 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for a new person,
not common though.
It's not, okay. First of all, I think it's a slap in the face to me and anyone else that competes, that you think that it's that easy that you can just jump into a prep and do a show.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
that's fair. And the training thing is true. So I've had several coaches throughout the years. Until my last couple, which have been great. Like the first one's like, I worked with Shelby for a month. This was like 5 years ago. And it took me 1 month to realize like, this guy's not for me. Like you can just tell, like he doesn't give a fuck. He really doesn't. I worked with AJ Sims,
so
who was
there. He has a degree in psychology. And I do think that plays a huge factor in this. So people, when you study the mind, okay, you know how to interact with people because you read them. Okay. So you almost like a master manipulator, and that's going to make the other person think that this person genuinely cares about me. They're kind, they care about me, and their responses don't get it twisted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could really tell with him, like he just did not care. He really didn't.
And here's the other thing I'm finding too, like with Shane, all of the responses are the exact same.
Trophy emojis.
Trophy emojis. It's happening. You're changing so fast. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
When people ask for more details, almost like he's like annoyed that you're asking him questions.
That's very common with a lot of coaches. One word answers, no responses, respond 4 days later with an emoji.
These coaches have too many clients.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Too many clients, and they're not able to say no because there's a little bit of greed in it. I personally, I want quality over quantity. And I get to a point where I get too busy and I'm overwhelmed, and then I'm not able to give the proper attention that my clients deserve and the care that they deserve, Yeah. And also I think there's a lot of favoritism, if you notice, like some of these people that are, doing videos with their success stories with these coaches in particular, they get more attention because they're winning shows.
Yeah.
And that's why all these other people are suffering. And they're coming to me and they're like, I don't understand. I pay $500 a month, but he only posts about her because she's winning. And I'm like, and that's why your health is suffering, because he doesn't give a shit about you, because he's not able to market you and you're not getting him more business.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is a business.
A big one too. A lot of money in this business.
And on the other side of that, everybody's a fucking coach now.
That's true.
I had a client, he did one show, he got 4th place, and now he's a coach.
Oh, great.
So I know what you're doing. You are taking my plan and my manipulations that worked on you and giving them out, giving them to other people.
I've had that happen with a few clients before where they've turned around, and I actually had one of their clients text me because my phone number was on the plan that they received from this other person.
Oh,
they
yeah.
They didn't even change the phone number.
A lot too, where, clients are doing, or coaches are doing the copy paste thing and they forget to like edit it and delete the other person's name. But also, like, if you notice, I posted, or I don't know if I posted it yet, but like Shane, for instance, he has so many clients that he doesn't remember anyone's protocol. So you'll check in and he'll say, what's cardio at?
Yeah. How much cardio are you doing?
Yeah. What do your meals look like? What do you mean? Yeah. What do my meals look like? You don't fucking know?
Yeah. You're the coach. You tell me, buddy.
What do you mean? What's your dosage on this? When I was with Shane, he didn't change my plan for 13 weeks. He gave my ex the exact same plan as me. And then at 7 weeks out, I said, are we going to change anything? He's like, what do you want to change? And I was like, well, I just feel like I'm plateauing and maybe we should like carb cycle. He's like, okay, we can. Okay, why am I paying you if I'm the one that's dictating what we're going to do? Yeah. Then I would bring up things for the gear. And he's like, well, you're the pro. What do you think? I'm like,
all right, well, you pay me then. How about that?
You're just here to condone me coaching myself as like an extra set of eyes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know what I mean? That's how I felt.
Wow. So we should also clarify. I don't think we've named him. This is Shane Hughley.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so he has about 600 active clients.
Yeah, that's too many. That's too many. So
And I
no
think
wonder.
that if you notice, so you got 600 active clients. Shelby has like close to 500. That's why we're hearing their names the most. Because if you have that many clients, you're gonna have a lot of turnover constantly, okay? But you're also gonna have quite a bit of success, especially if you've been doing it for a very long time.
But
so
you're also gonna have a lot of failures, and that's what's coming out of the woodwork now.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's why I'm doing this, because these people deserve to be heard, but they've never had a platform to speak up.
Yeah.
You know, and this isn't about like what did work for people. This is about what didn't work for people and why, and how we can prevent it from happening to the next person, the next person. And if you hire Shelby and you get the same protocol that you saw online, you can have, those are red flags. And then you're like, now you're knowledgeable, you have a little bit of education, like I've seen this before, I'm going to go on a different route. Or you know what, maybe it will work on me, so I'm just going to try it out. Now you're able to make a better decision for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's the only reason that I'm doing this.
Well, and I mean, what you're doing is really, really good and helpful. I know you've heard that from a lot of people, but it really is. This is a conversation that's, years overdue.
Absolutely. And you know what? I have gotten thousands of positive messages and comments, and I appreciate all of them, and none of them go unnoticed. But I'm going to say this. I've only gotten probably 2 haters. And then other than that, just his success people that are trying to, have his back.
Yeah.
And they're not commenting to me, and they're not saying anything to me. They're just making their own posts, to have their own little club going on.
And from a psychological perspective, like I get that. You have your coach, you like him, and clearly, let's be clear also. These coaches
hasn't happened to them yet.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting, like, these coaches, they're not fucking up everybody, but
correct,
a lot of people. So, just
and
because
I'm not saying I'm perfect and I haven't fucked up anybody. Here's the thing with this sport. There's a lot of bro science going on. I learned from all of my experience. Yes, I have some certifications. A lot of people do not, but a lot of this is just learning on your own and through your own client trial experiences and your own coaching that you've gotten. And I just think that maybe part of the solution could be that we as coaches need to be better educated and have more degrees and more certifications and things under our belt. And
or just
how
read more.
We come together as a community and we start putting all the information out there about the diuretics and about the nutrition and what it does to your body when you're doing 2 hours a day of cardio and adrenal fatigue, and all of this shit needs to come out. The knowledge is power, man.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And this industry is getting so big. Why do we not have like I was watching Nick I can't say his last name.
Trigili.
I can never say his last name. I was watching his, and he made some valid points. He's like, why isn't the NPC posting all the educational stuff on their website?
Yeah.
Everyone knows their website.
Yeah, they absolutely should.
There's top educators out there. There are medical professionals. There are people like Leo. Okay. There are people that are smart, highly intelligent in pharmacology and nutrition and training. And like, why don't we have them on and start making this a thing where it's a nutritional, or it's an educational piece?
Yeah. There needs to be more of that for sure. And I think raising awareness of the stuff that doesn't work and is dangerous is a good first step. But then, there needs to be another level beyond just not killing yourself, where we can be more productive and advance the sport forward and do it safely.
Exactly. This isn't about raising awareness about what does work, okay? Because what does work for me might not work for you.
Yeah.
This is about
drawing a line.
Yes. And when is enough? And at what point, a lot of people are just really naive and ignorant, and ignorance is not bliss in this situation.
Not here. No, sometimes it is, but not here. No, definitely
exactly.
Not.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people want to be ignorant to it because it hasn't happened to them, ... yet. So when it does happen to you, are you going to come back to me and be like, I wish I would have told you, I wish I would have listened to you?
I wish you would have too.
Some of these people that are coming out like on his behalf, I know for a fact have health issues. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you're not fooling anyone. We know better. We see it. we see what we can see your body. We can see the changes in your face and your physique, and the fact that you dropped out of preps multiple times, or you know what I mean? Like, we put it together.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, to someone who's watching closely, I mean, there aren't too many really, really high profile faces out there. So you can watch a lot of people and follow closely, connect the dots, and kind of figure out what's going on.
And you know what else that I want to say is, I would encourage everyone to talk to former clients that are no longer with these coaches. Okay. Because I can't tell you how many top elite Olympians that are in my inbox right now. The ones that are from 2013, 14, 15, 16, they're all in my inbox right now.
And they're probably never competing again.
Some of them still do.
Okay.
But most of them are, you know, they reach their peak and their pinnacle in it. They're just, you know, it's their lifestyle and they love competing. But a lot of them had health issues after, and they just never taled about it. But Jamie Pinner's been on this crusade for years now.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember hearing about this from her like 3 or 4 years ago, at least.
She's been on the crusade with PEDs mostly, with women mostly. I think this is the first time that anything about diuretics coming out, but a diuretic protocol can kill you way faster than a PED protocol.
Way faster. Yeah. I mean, PEDs will fuck you up if you abuse them incorrectly, but they're not going to put you in a grave in a week. Exactly.
Now, I think, you know, what people don't realize is anything that you put in your body, you know, you can have a negative side effect too. But you also have to remember that there are drug interactions like that will affect you as well. And then on top of that, like, I am noticing that when these coaches are writing these protocols, they're not even telling them to take like TUDCA or NAC or kidney stuff or Live 52. None of that is being prescribed with the PED protocol.
Yeah, there's no supplemental stuff to help support your system.
But yet you hire this coach to write out a protocol for you with supplements, but they're not adding supplements to it when they add PEDs. That makes no fucking sense to me. That means you don't care about their kidney and their liver and their health, period.
You care about the picture that you'll be able to post on your profile. Look at this transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they make it. And if they don't, oh well, their clients are dime a dozen. I got them knocking out the door.
There's always more. There's always more. I wanted to talk just a little bit. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you for taking the time.
They're blowing me up right now. All my clients are blowing me up.
We won't keep you too much longer. I just wanted to talk about possible solutions going forward. So we have heard talk about changes in judging standards as far as conditioning. I know there's been banter talked around about, you know, maybe banning some of these supplements or introducing testing, which that's a slippery slope that could go.
They did that.
Could really throw things for a loop.
This morning, and they did that in the 90s, try to do the diuretic testing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have some of the organizations that like do polygraph, which that gets expensive, and also you can beat a polygraph, and B, you can then, after you take your polygraph, go take a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So unless your polygraph is 5 minutes before you walk on stage.
Yeah. That's where I think that there just needs to be, again, I don't know what Jake's plan is or his idea is. Do I think that it's gotten carried away with pushing the envelope? Yes. Do I think that some of the divisions, it's almost like there's such a, you can't even tell the difference anymore. Like, that's why these figure girls are being told to move to women's physique, because they're just as lean and dry and hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such a blurred line.
Yes. I think that we can kind of like tone some of that down and back so that there's a clear distinguishment between figure and women's physique and women's bodybuilding and women's physique or bikini. Obviously everyone's going to know wellness because it's not proportionate. Right. You know, it's the only division where their proportions are off.
We're promoting asymmetry.
Yes. And that's a beautiful division. I love wellness. But like the fact that we have these bikini girls that have striated glutes and they look emaciated. Yeah. I'm talking, this girl needs like 20 cheeseburgers right now.
Well, the thing about that is like that goes against their written and published judging standards.
They always go against their written and published criteria and rules. Every year. Women's physique says they don't want overly striated glutes, yet we just made Sarah Villegas Miss Olympia.
Yeah, you can't win a show without them.
That is, you're contradicting what you're saying and what you're doing. Your actions don't match your words.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think step one is, okay, the judging standards are out there. They're published. Why don't we try following those for a year and see what happens?
Who's going to hold the judges accountable to following that?
That's a great question.
And I heard this as I heard this as a possible solution. Say you have a class of, 10 women's physique girls, and they're all overly shredded. Sorry, we don't have a winner today. Nobody matches the criteria and the standards for this division today. Sorry.
We have second place through 11th. We don't have a first place.
Exactly, because we are not going to reward that, because that's not what we want.
That takes some balls from a judging panel.
Well, somebody needs to have some balls then, grow a pair.
I agree. And part of it is the judging panels. I think these panels are loaded up with old school people who want to reward all divisions as though it's men's bodybuilding, where the bigger you are and the leaner you are, the better.
Didn't we get rid of female bodybuilding for a reason?
Yeah.
And then we brought it back, right?
Yeah.
We can't right back to that direction then.
Well, and way back, there was that whole directive that came down from up above about, okay, the women have too much size. We need to scale that down a little bit. That lasted for a year or something. And then everybody started blowing back up again. Evolution.
Yeah. It's bigger, faster, leaner, harder, drier. Yeah. That's what this sport is. And everybody wants to push more and more and more, but you don't realize that A, more can kill you, and B, more is not always better, and it can make you look worse. Yeah. And C, more will have negative impact on your life, and it will take off years, and you are sabotaging your own future.
Agreed.
These coaches are sabotaging your future.
For sure. Yeah. You'd mentioned Jake a couple times. That's Jake Wood.
Yeah, correct.
And his title, he is president, or do you know what his title is?
He owns a lot of things. So
he's a media guy.
A lot of organizations. He owns the Olympia.
That's right.
He owns like Wings of Strength. He promotes tons of things. He owns like Flex Magazine. He owns like 6 or 7 magazines. He's heavily involved in our industry.
He's like one of the big cheeses.
Again, if there was no Jake, we wouldn't have the Olympia.
Yeah, and he has publicly gone on record as acknowledging this situation. At least
he made a statement. He made a comment on Facebook, and it got blasted all over the internet. And I think people misconstrued his statement because he touched on the whole conditioning thing. I don't think that's what he actually meant. I think what he actually meant was, when he talked about the conditioning part in his statement, is we are taking too much to get to that conditioning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's how it should have actually came off, because some people can get in really great condition without doing those things, but others can't. So they want to look like that. So they do take these things in hopes to look like that and
to try and level the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't always work out in anyone's favor or best interest. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. If somebody can get absolutely shredded with taking very little stuff and just working their ass off, and they've got great genetics for it, I don't think it's right to punish that person necessarily, as long as they're still fitting the judging standards.
Exactly. So I think that, if we're going to play with the criteria, and who's going to enforce that though?
Yeah, that's the big question. That's the big question. So
because you have head judges that like different things, like everybody knows, like Gary Udick, he loves hard and big, and he rewards that. That's what he wants. If you show up on his stage without shredded glutes, you're not going to place well.
Yeah. So,
and kind of like Steve Weinberger, same thing. He's tough, and he will pose the shit out of you. And you should be able to pose on stage.
Yeah. But I think it comes down to like, maybe there needs to be better coordination between the IFBB, the NPC, and their head judges, and say, look.
Yeah, it's solidarity. We all, as coaches, athletes, judges, the higher ups, we all need to come together to find a solution. I don't have all the answers. I don't have a solution. I might have ideas or be able to brainstorm and help, but I don't know what it's going to take. I just know that the problem is here, and now we need a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you got clients blowing you up, so I'll let you get to them. Any parting shots that you've got for us? Any last thoughts? Anything that we didn't want to get off?
I just want everyone to know that my intentions are pure and good here. I never intended to bash any single person or point fingers or blame. This is my hope in this, is that we not only raise awareness and bring more education to the industry, but that the deaths simply stop.
Yeah. Understood. Understood.
There and it's not just these, these 4 women that are hanging over one coach. It's, excuse me, it's Dallas McCarver, it's Sean Meadows, it's Luke Sandow, it's all of these other people over the course of however many years, and this has been going on forever, and you're always going to have deaths, but like, that's why That's why bodybuilding isn't taken seriously and it's not mainstream.
Yeah.
Because you can't expect that.
Yeah. You don't have a
It's
lot of
not-
basketball players and baseball players that are dying at games.
And that's because, obviously we're in the IFBB and we allow the drugs to happen.
Mhm.
So, and it wouldn't be a credible, like notable thing if we're like, okay, no more drugs, then no one would really care about bodybuilding.
If the IFBB was drug tested, nobody would give a shit about it anymore.
Exactly. That's why no one gives a shit about there are hundreds of other organizations that anyone can go compete in.
Yeah.
No one even knows what they are because no one gives a shit. Everybody wants to see the freaks.
Yeah,
Freaks
exactly. That's why I don't watch college football. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, but let me see the pros do their thing. It's like, amateur.
But something does have to happen. It's time for change, and change is a good thing, and people need to embrace the change, and people need to, again, be part of the solution and not the problem. The people that are the problem need to disappear or change their methods.
Change their methods, absolutely. They should,
and I'm going to say this too. How is it not involuntary manslaughter? How are you not able to have a civil lawsuit against someone that is giving you medical advice and they're not a licensed professional? I don't care about your bullshit disclaimers.
It has occurred to me, like, does a coach bear criminal liability in these deaths? And I have a hard time saying no. Like, I think it's very likely.
Later, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay, cool. I'll be curious to hear that.
Yeah.
Good luck to your cadre of clients tomorrow at the
Thank
show.
You so much. Thank you.
So everybody out there, follow her at Fierce Fit Steph on Instagram. She's got a lot of good stuff going on. There's more to come, I'm sure. So I appreciate you so much for your time.
I'm not.
No, I mean, at this point, in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
And honestly, if you have a story and you want your voice to be heard, send it to me. And you want to remain anonymous, I'm blocking your names out.
Yeah.
Okay. But get it out there, because the more that it gets out there, the more other people can spread it. And I encourage you, if you're reading this and seeing this stuff, put it on your story, put it on your page, tag other people, get it out there, spread it around, because that's the only way we bring awareness to a situation and a topic.
100%. Well said. Awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steph. Appreciate it.
Bye.